live button, so let's wait for the stream to fire up all across the fruited plain of the internet before we go ahead and get started. It's a beautiful Friday, but we know there's a lot going on, and sometimes there can be feds or other things in the tubes out there that can deviate our course from its trajectory, but we don't want that to happen. And so it looks like it's working, which is tremendous news. That means that we can go ahead and get started. So let's do it, my friend, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live. My name is Robert Gouveia. I am a criminal defense attorney, and now normally at this moment I say at the R&R Law Group, but today, my friends, we have a special announcement. Today was my last day at the R&R Law Group. It was a big deal. I know. It was a big move for me. And so today, this morning, we said our final farewells and our goodbyes at the law firm. It was a great conversation with our locals and members this morning about sort of some depths of what happened and all of the details, but it was very amicable. We're parting ways as friends. It's going to open the door for a lot of additional opportunities. And so I don't want to belabor it here too much. We talked a lot about it for about an hour this morning. And so I'd invite you to go over there. It's completely free. But I just wanted to say and share my gratitude to the R&R team, right? I love the R&R team. We have the best team ever. And so they're going to carry on their work and they're going to do an outstanding job. We had a lot of amazing work we did, helping amazingly good people all over Arizona. And so to our clients, we're grateful for your trust. And the work will carry on. I won't be there, but the team is, as I said, the best. And so they're going to take over and they're going to just run it from here. And to you, my friends, right, to each of you, all of you out there who have subscribed and watched and liked and shared this video or that video and been here, joined us over on members, joined us on locals and just supported the work that we're doing here, just shared, whatever you've done, even just sitting there and watching it is just, it means the world to me. And I'm so filled with gratitude for you and your support and the opportunity to be enabled and empowered to make this move and to make this sort of transition. And I think it's going to really create a lot of space for us and for what we do here. I think there's just going to be a lot of additional opportunity for us to shine that big, beautiful spotlight even brighter, even harder. And I just can't wait to get into it. So a lot of changes. I'm still decompressing and, these things are kind of still a little bit tender around the edges and I'm still sort of processing a lot of emotions, but I'm very excited. I'm very grateful to everybody. It's the ending of one chapter, but the opening of a new one. And I can't wait to share more with you about that as it all unfolds. And so that's what's going on out there, my friends. A very big announcement on my end. But as usual, we've got some business to attend to. And so today, let's get right to it. The subject is shot down. And that was the big news out there. It was like, oh my goodness. As the news was percolating out there, I was wondering if we were going to have any Friday night drops. Sometimes Fridays can be a little bit dull. Not today. And we don't know what it was, whether it's another balloon or another object, but whatever it is, it's not up there anymore. And this time they didn't hesitate. They actually took it down before it moseyed on through all of continental America. So very interesting. We have a lot to unpack here because there were two separate press briefings. And this was all sort of like a shotgun, right? This was all happening in real time. These press briefings basically were real time. It was pretty amazing to watch it all unfold. We're going to look at two different areas. John Kirby, the White House National Security Advisor, and Patrick Ryder is over from the Pentagon, from the DOD. And so we're going to listen to both of them because there were some interesting details that we can get from this. We don't know if it's a balloon. We don't know if it's a drone. We don't know why they shot this one down. Well, we know why they say they shot this one down, but not the other one. And so we're going to go through all of that. We've got rumors that President Xi in China doesn't even know about this stuff, questions about what happens next diplomatically, questions about whether this one was maneuverable or not, and why this was shot down when the other one was not. Then we'll go over to the Pentagon, and the Department of Defense will have an opening statement from Patrick Ryder. The media there wanted to know, where did this come from? Did this come from China or some other entity? We don't know. If it's 2 for 2 out of China, and we have shot down 2 for 2 Chinese objects out of the sky, you can see how this could be a little bit problematic. When's the last time we blew 2 foreign objects out of the sky in the United States? I don't recall. Questions about the shape. Can you tell us? Is it a tic-tac machine? Is it one of those weird orbs that's floating around the oceans that they talked about on the Rogan show? Who knows? Why shoot this one down? Why not shoot the other one down? questions about the capabilities. Was this a different type of weapon? And then, of course, the big question. Did you guys get really pressured from Congress? Yesterday on the show, we spent a lot of time talking about all of the different northern border states that were furious about this, that they were sort of ignored as the balloon moseyed on through their constituency. Alaska, Montana, we had Maine, we had South Dakota, North Dakota, and they were all very upset about it. So they shot this one down real quick. They didn't even hesitate on this. So why? Was it because of pressure from Capitol Hill? Well, we don't know. So that's all going to be in the first segment. Then we're going to go over to the Oversight Committee because there is some fun stuff that is happening here. Hunter Biden is just ignoring them. Okay, so they sent over a bunch of letters and we're going to go through them. James Comer filed 3 different letters. We're calling these the Comer letters today. One went out to Hunter Biden and he sent these, I think, on the 8th. So 2 days ago. He published them yesterday. One went to Hunter Biden himself. All right, normally we're seeing letters that go to all sorts of tertiary people, but this one went right from the Oversight Committee directly to Hunter Biden, the president's son. We'll see what Comer is asking of him. Another letter, very similar in substance, also went over to Eric Scherwin, who is Hunter Biden's business partner. And then lastly, we have one that went to the president's brother. So all of the Biden fam got letters from James Comer in the Oversight Committee. Now, you might say, well, that's pretty good. I mean, maybe something will happen from this. Well, we'll have to see. Depends what Comer decides to do. But the lawyers for Hunter responded and they said, well, what do you want us to, you think we're responding to your little crap garbage letters? No. You're not the January 6th committee, okay? We don't care about you. And so they just said literally like, no, we'll read through their letter. They said, you don't have any real basis for asking of this stuff. And then Comer's going to respond because he went on Laura Ingram's show and she was asking him, well, sounds like they're snubbing you there, Congressman. You going to do anything about this, you big weenie? We'll see if they do. And of course, there's going to be a lot to get to. So we've got a bunch of letters and we've got some good clips to attend to. And my friends, if you want to be a part of the show, the best place to do that is by going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And on Monday, there's going to be another website here, which I'm very excited to share with you, but it's got some beta testing that we need to do. We need to work on this puppy over the weekend. And so I'm going to be sharing that with locals and we're going to beta test a new forum. And it's not a new forum. It's a new website that has additional features on it, right? So locals is not going anywhere. Don't worry about that. But it's going to be in addition to locals. But if you're on locals this weekend, I'm going to share the beta test link so you guys can poke around with it. Tell me what you love, what you hate, and we'll get it fixed up. And then we'll come back on Monday and we'll share that with the rest of you guys, my friends. And so, of course, you can join us over there for some of that, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Also want to say thank you to our sponsors over at Brickhouse Nutrition, where you can get your real organic superfood from our friends at fieldofgreens.com. Save 15% with code Robert when you go to checkout. You'll feel ultra vibrant and energized for the next invasion, whenever that happens to us, at fieldofgreens.com. And although I am not at the R&R Law Group anymore, which is a weird thing to say, man, weird. Even though I'm no longer there, they are still an excellent law firm, and I still highly recommend them. And I will encourage you, especially this weekend, if you know anybody who is charged with a crime, send them to R&R Law Group. They have a team of people standing by over there. And I know some of them, yeah. 480-787-0394, 480-787-0394 at rrlawaz.com. And so go check that out over there. All right, my friends. And so now, again, if you missed that, I detailed exactly what happened this morning on our locals forum. And so you can go over there. It's an amicable separation. It's all love. R&R Law Group is going to be free to roam through the countryside and solve all sorts of amazing problems. And so it's going to be a great thing for them. But they're still an amazing law firm. And so they are going to be standing by this weekend. It's going to be the Super Bowl. It's going to be madness. And so they will be ready and available to help. All right. And so now let's get this puppy queued up. We've got a lot of business to attend to. You can see the government shoots down another object out of the sky. This time they did it quickly without any hesitation. They did it over Alaska like they should have done the first time. But we're going to go through this because we don't even know what this thing is. They are calling it an object, and they're having a difficult time explaining this. We're going to go through 2 press briefings today. One from John Kirby, the White House National Security Council. He's a spokesman for them. And Patrick Ryder over from the DoD, the Department of Defense, and the Pentagon are going to unveil for us what happened. What did they shoot down? A second balloon? well, they didn't really want to use the word balloon. They said balloon a bunch, but they kind of didn't mean to say it. Everybody's got balloon on the brain, as they say. And so, is it an object? Is it a drone? Is it a missile? Is it some sort of secretive orb? Is it new technology? Is it the Tic Tac? Is it the... What is it? Well, we're going to have to figure it out. But John Kirby was in the middle of a press briefing when this news basically broke. And it all started with one question from a journalist that is not on my mind map, but I have it queued up over here because I'm pretty sure I did record this one. Yes. Actually, let me do a refresh on this. Let's refresh the mind map. Maybe that'll solve the problem here. We're looking for the clip with John Kirby in glasses. There it is. A refresh solved that problem. John Kirby, here he is. Rumors of a balloon. Now, this was interesting because John Kirby was out there in front of the press answering a bunch of questions about, other stuff. The president's going to Poland, all sorts of, other issues are percolating around the world. And so John Kirby just kind of randomly gets asked about these rumors.
Thank you, Corinne. Hi, John. I have more follow-ups on the Lula visit as well as the assistance U.S. providing to Turkey. But really briefly, can you speak to rumors that there is another Chinese balloon above Alaska or any other parts of U.S. territory that the U.S. shot down?
So I can confirm that the Department of Defense was tracking a high-altitude object over Alaska airspace in the last 24 hours.
Wow.
The object was flying at an altitude of 40,000 feet.
Okay, a little lower.
And posed a reasonable threat to the safety of civilian flight. Out of an abundance of caution and at the recommendation of the Pentagon, President Biden ordered the military to down the object. And they did. And it came inside our territorial waters. Those waters right now are frozen, but inside territorial airspace and over territorial waters. Fighter aircraft assigned to U.S. Northern Command took down the object within the last hour.
Wow, right, like within the last hour. And they had just a little paragraph for Kirby to read, and he had to pull out his glasses and read through it. That's all we got for you.
Can I just follow up?
And so she asks another question. She's like, okay, well, I guess thanks for confirming the rumor. But it goes over to the next journo in the room. We get to the next question, and she goes, wait a minute, what? Wait a minute, I had a whole list of questions here for you. I was going to ask about Poland and about Lula and all this stuff. But wait, what? You shot another balloon out of the sky?
When I hear news, I just get very excited.
Fancy that.
Yes. So can we just go back for a moment? So another aircraft of some sort, airship, balloon, something was shot down today. Who owns it? What were the circumstances?
Give us the
Was the
juicy
president
deets.
directly involved in ordering this? And is wreckage being recovered?
All of it.
Okay, so I'm going to try. Remind me if I forget something.
Okay.
Yes, the president absolutely was involved in this decision. He ordered it at the recommendation of Pentagon leaders. He wanted it taken down, and they did that. They did it using fighter aircraft assigned to U.S. Northern Command. The Pentagon will have more to say about the details of this later on this afternoon. It's
We'll get
only
to
just
it.
within the last hour. We're calling this an object because that's the best description we have right now.
It's unidentified.
We do not know who
And it
owns
was flying.
whether it's a
And it was an
whether
object.
it's state-owned or corporate owned or privately owned. We just don't know.
You don't know if it was privately owned?
We don't know. As I said, state-owned. We don't know if it's state-owned.
State-owned.
And we don't understand the full purpose. We don't have any information that would confirm a stated purpose for this object. We do expect to be able to recover the debris since it fell not only within our territorial space, but on what we believe is frozen.
The heck did they
water.
shoot
So,
out?
A recovery effort will be made.
Don't know where it came from, company or
we're
nation
hopeful that
state.
it'll
Don't know
be
what it's
successful,
for.
And then we can learn a little bit more about it.
He shot it out of
Is
the sky.
appearance like the Chinese aircraft?
No, it was much smaller than the spy balloon that we took down last Saturday. The way it was described to me was roughly the size of a small car, as opposed to
An
a
airplane.
payload that was like 2 or 3 buses size, right? So
Okay, so
much smaller.
a car is flying around in the sky.
And not of the same, no significant payload, if you will.
All right, so it's just flying around. It is from an unknown source. The payload, you don't really know what it's carrying as well.
It's likely the president will choose to shoot it
The
down.
president will always act in the best interest of our national security and in the safety and security of the American people.
Jackie, we're going to get you guys. John, so the Pentagon ordered this new object be taken down over
The
Alaska.
president ordered it.
The president ordered it. So is it a fair takeaway then that the Pentagon regrets not taking down the first balloon before it crossed the entire U.S.?
Well, I'm not going to speak for the Pentagon. I can tell you that the president doesn't regret the way that
I'm sure he doesn't, yeah.
handled the first balloon. That time first of all,
Yeah, right. They're over there at the Pentagon. Their little computer goes beep, 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 and they go, oh, crap, it's a balloon. Launch everything. Fire it. No, it's just a seagull. I don't care. Fire it.
apples and oranges here in terms of size. As I said, this was size of a small car, and it was over a very sparsely populated area, but also more critically it was over water space when we ordered this down, as we did the last one, but completely different size. And the debris field for this we expect to be much smaller than would have been for the other one. That's difference one. Difference two, we knew for a fact that the PRC balloon that we shot down last week was in fact a surveillance asset, and capable of surveillance over sensitive military sites, and that it had self-propulsion and maneuver capabilities. There's no indication that this one did. The other one, the first one, was able to maneuver and loiter, slow down, speed up. It was very purposeful, that flight path inside the jet stream.
So it sounds like that was a bigger threat than this one. So why'd they let that one go through when it was bigger and it had a more purposeful flight path?
That would suggest that maybe it should have it out over Alaska too, though.
Look, the Pentagon's already spoken to this question about whether or not they should have or could have shot it down over Alaska airspace. So I would refer you to, there was 2 hours and hours of testimony yesterday on that.
On the communications, though, we still don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, we don't know what intelligence or communications could have been collected or what devices they were targeting, as I understand it. So that being said, how can the president say it was not a major breach if we don't know that?
What we do know is we knew the basic flight path of this thing, and we were able to take steps at sensitive military sites that we believed would be along the flight path to significantly curtail any intelligence ability that the Chinese could get from the balloon. Certainly curtail anything that would be above and beyond what they normally try to collect through other means.
Satellites and stuff.
Get around.
Thanks, John. Was this latest object that was shot down within the last hour, was that detected based upon any information gleaned from the monitoring of the last balloon over last week, in terms of what you learned about that Chinese program that informed the decision to shoot this item down?
I think I'd be careful saying that anything specific to what we've learned from that last platform. And we were able to collect some information from it while it was in flight. That was another reason why over land the way it did. But I would be I would not say that information gleaned from our surveillance of that surveillance balloon provided insights that permitted this detection and track.
And as of this moment, are you convinced that you shot down? Do you know what you shot down? That it wasn't just a harmless weather balloon? That there was some motivation for flying this over U.S. airspace, or is it truly?
I think we're going to try to.
Some kid's science project. Little Johnny is just wondering what's going on. Or it's one of those kids with the GoPro. The GoPro's up there floating around. He's like, man, and my YouTube, yeah, this is going to be great. What is that?
I can tell you it was an object. It was at 40,000 feet, and the predominant.
Or was it manned?
Concern by the president was a safety of flight issue at that altitude. Remember the one that we shot down last Saturday? It was at 65
No.
plus thousand.
Yeah, but it also dropped back down into the 40s and it dropped back up again, right? It wasn't just something they're finding additional reasons to justify what they've already done.
Feet. So no threat to civilian aircraft. This one at 40,000 feet could have posed a threat to civilian aircraft, and it did not appear to have the maneuverable capability that the other one did. So, virtually at the whim of the wind.
Thank you, Crane. So just thank you, Kirby. So to follow up on what you just said about civilian air.
Yeah, following up on that aircraft. Yeah, in the chat, MJ Cleveland says probably a YouTuber prank balloon. Yeah, exactly right. Elon's car. Somebody said it's Elon's car coming back down to land. Exactly right. Elon launched his vehicle up there. That's all it is. Poor military doesn't know what's coming down the pike again. All right, so we also have another question that comes in about the threat. All right, well, you blew this one out of the sky, lickety split. What's the difference? Why were you so quick to act on this one and so slow when the first balloon came moseying on through?
Crane, so just thank you, Kirby. So to follow up on what you just said about civilian aircraft, is that what you meant initially when you said there was a reasonable threat to shoot it down? Or was
Yes,
there
my exact
else?
words were reasonable threat to the safety of civilian flight.
Okay, and given what you said earlier about intent with regard to the Chinese spy balloon, does the U.S. give any credence to the Chinese argument that the balloon accidentally veered off course and ended up where it did?
You're talking about the one
The
from last week?
Chinese. Do you believe the Chinese at all?
Say that again. Or was it?
Does the U.S. give any credence to the Chinese argument that this thing accidentally veered off course and ended up where it did?
No.
So,
No.
Was it targeting specific
Yes.
places? Was it targeting military sites?
What we know is that the flight path it executed took it over sensitive military sites.
And they allowed
What we
it.
also know is that it could maneuver, that it had
Just moving all over.
propulsion capability and steerage capability.
Let's go to this nuclear site,
and
that
could slow
nuclear
down,
site.
speed up, and that it was on a path to transit over sensitive military sites.
Why did they let that one go through?
Thank you.
Nuts. All right. So they said, okay, well, if that one was flying all over the place, like somebody was exercising an RC controller, what about this one? A new question from this journo asks about maneuverability.
On the latest object, you said it did not appear to have the maneuverability capabilities that the Chinese spy balloon have. Did it have any maneuverability, or was it flying on its own?
At this time, all I can tell you is it did not appear to have the ability to independently maneuver. We'll attempt recovery, and we'll see what we can learn more from.
And then just one more on the Chinese spy balloon. We're reporting that the U.S. is about to impose export controls on Chinese companies that are believed to have been involved in that balloon surveillance program. Can you confirm that and say when the administration might impose those export controls?
I'm not in a position to confirm those reports right now, and I'd refer you to the Department of Treasury.
Thank you, Admiral. I believe you said.
All right. So any maneuverability, we don't know. It's a lot of unknowns. We'll learn more from the Pentagon here in a minute. But a big question, of course, is who owns this thing? As we talked about at the start of the show, if there is two military aircraft from the same country, that sort of establishes a pattern, does it not? Right? One of them is a mistake. Now, they say it's a mistake. We know it's not a mistake, but all right. At least they've got some plausible deniability there. They can fake it. They can pretend like that matters to them. Okay. If they do it again, that kind of takes it off the table, right? Don't let it happen twice. And it looks like this was another object. Now, you can imagine the White House is in a little bit of a precarious position here. I'm sure that they do not want to come out here and have a twofer on this thing, because then they have to respond pretty aggressively, don't they? I mean, if the Chinese are sending literal objects of threat, like threatening objects into the United States airspace twice, what's the U.S. going to do about that? Maybe that's the point. Maybe they say they don't really have a good policy on how they're going to respond, and so they're just jabbing. Who knows? But it's got to come down to ownership. What if it's not a Chinese balloon? What if it's that kid's science project, man? 8-year-old little Timmy. Him and his dad are like, yeah, you're going to win the science fair. They're watching it on their phone like, wow, it's over Alaska right now. This is great. Nice job, little Timmy. What's that in the background? Oh, what's that sound? The whole thing's blown out of smithereens, and poor little Timmy's going to get an F. You know, it's going to be a terrible thing. So hopefully they can figure out who owns this.
General, I believe you said this was shot down, or at least it landed in the waters or the frozen waters off the coast of Alaska, correct?
That is our initial assessment.
So is the policy still, considering the first one was shot down off the East Coast and this high-altitude object was shot down off the West Coast, is the policy at this point in time you could shoot it down if it's over a body of water?
I wouldn't derive from these two incidents some sort of policy that comes out of it. The president will always act in the best interest of the American people and international security. Last week, we were talking about a surveillance asset.
What is
that
this?
was purposely flown over the continental United States. In the case today, we're talking about an object. Again, we don't know a lot about it, but that at its altitude represented a potential threat to the safety of flying customers, civil air traffic.
Based on your broad and deep experience, who do you think might own or have flown this thing in
Capabilities,
the
yeah.
air?
Who
have
can
no
build
idea.
that? Who can put a car up into the sky? Right? Like they were joking. He said it might be a corporate entity or something. Like maybe Uber has little pellets flying around now or something. Right? These are typically nation state operations. Same arguments we were making when the Nord Stream 2 got taken out, evidently by Biden. There's only so many people who have the capability of doing something like this. And so when you narrow it down to the entities that are capable, it's kind of a small handful of groups.
Good, Mary.
You know, you don't know who owns it, who's flown it, but has anyone from the administration reached out to the Chinese to see whether they will claim this new object?
Did you guys
I
send a
have no
second one?
outreach
Are you
this
serious?
afternoon to the Chinese government about this.
The State Department over the weekend, or last few days, I'm losing track of days, but since the first spy balloon, confirmed that they think that these Chinese spy balloons have gone over 40 countries. Considering that fact and this new development today, what's next on a larger diplomatic
What's the
front for
whole
US?
world going to do
Talking with allies
about these Chinese
how to police the
balloons?
skies, about how to bring this to the UN to figure out what to do?
We are talking to dozens of nations who we know have been overflown by Chinese surveillance balloons.
Wow.
Part of this program that the Chinese have invested in. To share with them the context and information that we've learned by the forensics we've done since we came in office about this particular program. And I would remind you that we briefed Congress in a classified setting back in August about this. This is not something we haven't been trying to learn more about. We've been aware of it and trying to glean more information from it. And
And you let them fly one through the whole country? This is like a top priority for the DOD. They're looking into this. What is this program? 40 different countries are investigating all of this. And they thought, well, yeah, we might as well get a good look at one. Just let it fly right across Kansas.
we expect that the recovery of the debris from the balloon we shot down on last Saturday, will help us gain even more information. But we are in the active conversations with many of these countries who we know have been overflown.
Gotcha.
All right, so that's another one. Who owns it? Still have no idea. And there was another interesting question about even the first balloon, which was about whether President Xi from China even knows about this. You know, they're saying that his government might be in such disarray that people may not want to tell him certain things, and he's sort of isolated, and he might be finding out about it after the fact. How they got wind of that, I don't know, but it's an interesting question.
Follow up on the Chinese spy balloon. This idea that President Xi Jinping may not have been aware of the order to send this balloon over U.S. soil, what would that tell you if that were true about his grip on his own government? Is it possible that it suggests a kind of power breakdown? Is it surprising to the U.S.?
We certainly can't confirm these reports about President Xi's personal knowledge of that, and I would refer you to the PRC to speak to their own leadership issues and information sharing. What matters to us is that this was a violation of our sovereign airspace, and clearly with intent. Now, whose intent? I don't think we have a perfect picture of that right now. Clearly, without
China.
question, the intent of the PRC, because we know that this balloon belonged to them.
It's a
and
big
President
operation.
Biden acted decisively in support of our national sovereignty.
What our reporting is that U.S. officials briefing lawmakers this week told lawmakers that this is the U.S. intelligence community's
I'm not going to speak
assessment,
to
right?
intelligence assessments from the podium.
All right, so yeah, another
Follow up on the
kind of
Chinese spy balloon.
ownership question.
This idea that President Xi Jinping.
We're going to do a refresh because I closed out of that audio too fast, as typical. And so the question about ownership is still up in the air about the second balloon. Even the first or the second object, the first balloon, is still being debated, I suppose. That, we don't even know if President Xi knows about it in China. But that is from John Kirby, White House National Security Council. And we learn that it all happened about basically in real time. He had very little information. Some of that might be by design. Now we turn our attention over to the Pentagon. This is DoD spokesperson Patrick Ryder. He gave us another statement on this, and we're going to learn more from him. The media in this room is a little bit more, I would say, sophisticated in terms of asking military-based questions, and so we get some more details on this with a little bit more, pointed, topical inquiries. But before we get into it, let's say hello to our friends over at Brickhouse Nutrition, where you can get your field of greens so that you're healthy and vibrant in case we're invaded. Of course, we would also like to lose those leftover pandemic pounds or those holiday pounds. How sick are you, by the way, of all of those weight loss ads for pills and fad diets? We've all been there. We've all done that. And we know that they don't work. But you know what does? Eating 5 healthy servings of fruits and vegetables every day. You do that, and I imagine the weight would probably just fall right off. But look, vegetables, not a fan, and fruit, who's got time to prepare all of that every single day? Solution, Field of Greens. Field of Greens is a science-backed formula, very specific fruits and vegetables that you're not going to find in any other product. Proper nutrition reboots your metabolism. You burn calories faster, lose weight the healthier way. And Field of Greens is the only brand that's backed by a better health promise. Yes, you're going to look and feel healthier, but the greater proof is going to come at the next checkup when your doctor says, my goodness, you've lost weight. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. All right, so let's get you started. 15% off your first order. All you have to do is go to fieldofgreens.com, use code Robert to save that 15%. Don't forget the code, and you'll be feeling vibrant and bursting with green superfood that's real and organic in no time, and you're going to feel all the better for it. And so those are my friends at fieldofgreens.com. Now, over at the Pentagon, we turn our attention to Patrick Ryder, and he came right out of the gate and he said, all right, we've got an update. There was another object that was blown out of the sky. We don't know where this one came from. Here's what he said.
So first of all, to add to information already provided
by
earlier
John
by the White House, at the direction of the President of the United States, fighter aircraft assigned to U.S. Northern Command successfully took down a high-altitude airborne object off the northern coast of Alaska at 1:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today within U.S. sovereign airspace over U.S. territorial water. On February 9, North American Aerospace Defense Command detected an object on ground radar and further investigated and identified the object using fighter aircraft. The object was flying at an altitude of 40,000 feet and posed a reasonable threat to the safety of civilian flight.
That's the distinction. The other one didn't pose a threat to the safety of civilian flight. This one did. Now, I sort of recall reading that other balloon was also changing altitude, going down, going up, going down, going up. It was as high as 60,000, above that even, and then it went down into lower airspace. I think part of that was even when they were shooting it down. So it's an interesting question. I'm always looking for the distinctions. Why do they handle one thing one way, but something that feels like it's exactly the same, a little bit differently? And one reason could be, well, they got a lot of backlash on how they handled the first balloon. Didn't go so well, and so now they are a little bit trigger happy. They're sort of waiting there with their fingers ready to go, just hit that button as soon as a potential balloon goes up there. They better be very careful about, birthday parties there in Alaska. Group of kids let some balloons up into the sky. You never know. You might have some F-22s dispatched.
U.S. Northern Command is beginning recovery operations now. U.S. Northern Command's Alaska Command coordinated the operation with assistance from the Alaska Air National Guard, Federal Aviation Administration, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We have no further details about the object at this time, including any description of its capabilities, purpose, or origin. The object was about the size of a small car, so not similar in size or shape to the high-altitude surveillance balloon that was taken down off the coast of South Carolina on February 4. Separately, U.S. Northern Command continues their recovery operations in support of the recent takedown of the Chinese high-altitude surveillance balloon. Recovery teams have mapped the debris field and are in the process of searching for and identifying debris on the ocean floor. Debris that's been recovered so far is being loaded onto vessels, taken ashore, cataloged, and then moved onwards to labs for subsequent analysis. And while I won't go into specifics due to classification reasons, I can say that we have located a significant amount of debris so far that will prove helpful to our further understanding of this balloon and its surveillance capabilities. Of note, due to less than favorable sea states right now, teams will continue to conduct underwater survey and recovery as conditions permit.
You're kidding me. The ocean is a difficult place to retrieve debris. Oh, that sucks, man. It would have been interesting if they would have blown it up over land, you know, maybe they could have gotten it. Or if they would have blown it up over the Arctic ice like they did this one, they could have gotten it over the Arctic ice, which is what they're working on now.
The department wants to thank our interagency partners from the U.S. Coast Guard, the FBI, and state and local authorities for their continuing assistance and partnership.
The first balloon landed in the bottom of the ocean outside of South Carolina. The second object is landed, I believe, on Arctic ice up outside of Alaska. And so they're going to be attempting to recover both of those. What that recovery looks like is yet to be seen. But of course, the military press had questions about where it came from as well. What does it look like? Why don't you tell us what it looks like? Why just shoot it down? Does it have additional capabilities that the first one didn't have? And were you pressured by all of the hearings that we covered yesterday on the show from Capitol Hill to take action on this one when you didn't on the first one? So we'll start here. Of course, the big pointed question that the Pentagon gets asked is, who owns this? What is the source? Where did this thing come from?
Hi, thank you for doing this. A couple of questions on this latest shoot down. First, what type of U.S. fighter aircraft were used and what type of munition did they fire? And do you already have Navy assets or Coast Guard assets involved in a recovery process? And then I have a few more.
Thanks, Tara. So the aircraft that took down the object was an F-22.
Nice.
Flying out of Joint Base Elmendorf in Alaska.
All right.
It employed an AIM-9X to take down the object. In terms of...
Quick pause on that. Shout out to our locals community and our friend Annie Fragile over there. Here is Elmendorf base, since he gave us a little bit of an update on that. You see right here, Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson is located in this area. And so it's actually nearby Anchorage. Erickson's over here near the top, sort of the peninsula out there. And so it's kind of right there. That's where the fighters launched from. Shout out to Anti-Fragile.
Assets that are currently involved in terms of recovery, we have HC-130, HH-60, and CH-47 aircraft participating in that recovery effort.
Okay. You mentioned there was a reasonable threat. Was there also a threat to potentially this object detecting some of our more sensitive radar capabilities that are based in Alaska? And then what hasn't been said is where this object has come from. Is there any indication that this was also a Chinese surveillance?
Give us a
object,
hint, man.
Yeah, so at this point, we don't know the origin of the object. Again, we will know more once we're able to potentially recover some of those materials. But the primary concern, again, was the potential hazard to civil flight. And so, again, we'll know more later. Thank you.
No perceived threat to any of the radar installations that we have based in Alaska?
Again, right now, we'll know more once we assess it. We'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Leave it at that from Patrick Ryder. So not a lot of information about where it came from. The shape of the object is another interesting question, which evidently I didn't attach that one.
First, do you and Admiral Kirby know the shape of this new object? And if so, what is sort of the reason for why you can't share its shape before it was shot down? And then separately, how is the recovery efforts of this new object downed over ice different from the one downed over the coast and water? And are you guys using unmanned systems for this new object as well?
Excellent question.
Yeah, thank you. So in terms of the shape, I don't know. I have not seen any imagery of it. I'm just telling you the verbal characteristics as it was described to me.
Well, what did they say when they described it to you there, Pat? Did they describe it as an object? They just said it was an object floating around in the sky? It's not very nice of them. I mean, you're the spokesman, man. You're supposed to know that stuff. Now, I don't think I clipped it, but they actually said that they flew up the F-22s. They flew them around this thing before they shot it down so that they could tell that there wasn't a person in it, is what we heard. Now, I don't think I clipped that. But he said, no, we knew that it wasn't manned because we flew around it, and then we shot it down. So they saw it. I mean, the plane saw it. They didn't just fire a missile out of nowhere. They saw it, they monitor it, they tracked it, they probably gave it warnings, they probably gave it visual warnings, they probably gave it all sorts of, radio one, then you're done, right? Bye. Which is what they should have done the first time. But here, they don't want to tell us what the shape is. They don't want to tell us what it looks like. He knows what it looks like. They know what it looks. Is it a square? Is it a plane? Is it a balloon? Is it a triangle? Does it have 3 sides? 1, 2, 3? What is it? They know.
In terms of the difference in the recovery effort, I mean, again, so this literally was, an hour and a half, 2 hours ago. So that's underway right now.
All right, well, tell them to text you a picture. Tell the pilots up there to just take their cell phone and just take a picture of it and just text it over to us so we can all see what it is, for crying out loud. All right. So yeah, apparently our multi-million-dollar, $80 million, $200 million aircraft, whatever they are, don't have cameras on them. So, all right. So they don't know what the shape is over there at the Pentagon. And now the press is wondering, why can't you just tell us what the shape it is? What's the problem here? And they're frustrated. They also wonder, why did you shoot this one down so quickly? You didn't even hesitate on this one. In fact, we didn't even catch wind. We didn't even get a chance for some guy in Montana to take a picture of this thing. You guys already blew it out of the sky.
Thank you. Thanks for taking my question. What made this threatening enough to shoot down? What is different about this object than the last object that was over Alaska? Because it was chosen not to shoot the last one down over Alaska.
Well, the answer, madam, is we got caught after the first balloon went through, and we know how pissed everybody is at us. And so we don't want to do that again because we got lectured in Congress from all of the Congress people in Montana and Alaska and everywhere else. And we're tired of that. So we decided we were going to take this one out. Thank you.
Yeah. So, the important thing to understand here is anytime we detect anything, we're going to, first of all, observe it and then make a decision and take appropriate action. So you have to look at each individual case on its own merits. In this particular case, given the fact that it was operating at an altitude that posed a reasonable threat to civilian air traffic, the determination was made and the president gave the order to take it down.
Was there a specific threat, a specific civilian air traffic incident that could have happened?
Again, as you well know, civilian aircraft operate, at a variety of ranges up to 40 to 45,000 feet. So again, there was a reasonable concern that this could present a threat to or a potential hazard to civilian air traffic. So let me.
Just one more question.
Yep.
Has Secretary Austin reached out to his Chinese counterpart or any other counterparts at all since this has been tracked?
Since this particular object, no. Let me go here and then I'll come over.
All right. So not much distinction there other than the altitude. One was higher than the other, and that's why they shot it down. One was potentially in the way of commercial aircraft. The other was not. So one had to go. The other was allowed to meander around the country. Of course, we get another question about the capabilities and whether this balloon had different technology than the first balloon, or this object had different technology than the first object, and also what to do about those other balloons that are popping up elsewhere around the globe.
Has been recovered. What additional information you have now about the capabilities of that balloon?
Yeah, so we're continuing to assess that. Again, I'm not able to go into more detail other than, in addition to learning a lot about the balloon and the capabilities that it has while it was over the continental United States, we have identified or located a significant amount of debris on the ocean floor that will be very beneficial to us learning more about it. But at this point in time, I'm not going to have more details.
Manufacturing label on these equipments or the balloons indicate that they're all manufactured in China, sourced from China.
Again, I'm not going to have details to provide it at
Did
this
they
point in
stamp
time.
made in
Also
China
say
on
that
that one?
39 other countries have indicated they have seen balloons in their territories. Are you sharing those information from the Pentagon to these countries, or the capabilities, how you shot them down?
So in terms of what we're learning about these balloons, I know the State Department has talked to this in terms of our international outreach.
Yesterday.
Certainly, the Department of Defense plays a role in those relationships, and so we will continue to work with our allies and partners to share information along with our State Department colleagues. Let me go to Oren.
All right. And so that is about other balloons. And we also heard from Kirby previously. They're still trying to figure out what to do about this. Evidently, they've been investigating it, studying it for a long time. They just didn't tell us about it. So our last question from Patrick Ryder, and I think one that is probably the most on point, is, sir, it feels like you guys were very quick to react this time because you're embarrassed by how you handled the first incident. Is that true?
Two questions. First, did this object show any signs of maneuverability or propulsion? And then you and other Pentagon officials made a big deal about how much intelligence was gathered by letting the other one float across much of the United States, and yet you shot this one down before it entered the United States.
Yeah, great question. Remember, they were saying how useful this was. They said, they're not spying on us, America. Don't worry about this balloon, okay? Don't worry about our nuclear or anything. We're spying on them. Secretary Lloyd Austin was like, I got a telescope, America. Don't worry, sleep soundly. I'm in charge here. Face mask, face shield. So, it's an interesting dynamic that in certain instances, it's very useful to allow a balloon to fly over America for about a week. In other instances, it is not useful and we just blow it right out of the sky. What's the difference between the two?
Is that the Pentagon bowing to political pressure? Was there nothing to gain from this one?
Yeah, so again, we're going to judge each of these on its merits. No indication at this time that it was maneuverable, but again, we'll know more. And in terms of entering the United States, it did enter U.S. airspace, and we took it down.
Did you gain intelligence from this one as you did from the previous one?
We're going to recover what we can from this, and more to follow.
And was the decision to shoot it down before it entered too far into the U.S. airspace, the Pentagon bowing to political pressure from the Hill?
Look, again, we're going to judge each of these objects on its own merits. It entered into U.S. airspace on February 9th. We sent up aircraft to assess what it was. The decision was made that it posed a reasonable threat to civilian air traffic. The president gave the order to take it down, and we took it down. Thank you.
They did not want incident number 2 at all to happen. And so this one they didn't even hesitate on. They got a lot of egg on their face. They didn't want it to happen again. So object number 2 was taken out, and rightfully so, right? That's the standard. That's how it should be. If anything comes across, that's it. Warning, sorry, you're done. Should have happened on the first incident as well. But of course, they're learning. They're a little slow over there at the White House, national security, and all that interesting stuff. So of course, we will continue to cover. Very likely will be 3 and 4, maybe 5 before the White House figures it out. We'll continue to cover. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing. And thank you for sharing the show with a friend and inviting them to come over here and join us. We look forward to seeing you on the next one. All right, my friends. Now, we have to change gears a little bit. This one's fun because Hunter is snubbing Congress, it seems. Let's get right to it. Hunter Biden ignoring Congress, basically just snubbing his nose at them. We have several letters that came out from our friend James Comer on the Oversight Committee. You remember him from the gavel point. We love the gavel point from our friend James Comer, just exercising big gavel energy everywhere he goes. And he did that by sending 3 different letters out to 3 people we've talked a lot about here on this channel. Of course, we've got Hunter Biden, all right? The president's son got a letter from James Comer on the Oversight Committee. We're going to read through the whole thing, and we're going to see what his lawyer said in response. We also have Eric Scherwin, who was Hunter's business partner, along with the president's brother, James Biden, also got a letter from the Oversight Committee, and we're going to go through each one of them in juicy detail. Hunter and his lawyers issued a response, basically telling Congress to pound sand, and Comer appeared on Fox and explained his response to the lawyer's response. And so, as you can see, we have just a ton to get to. And so let's start off with Comer's letter to Hunter Biden. You remember that Comer is on the Oversight Committee. He's the chairman of this thing, and they are going to be overseeing a bunch of stuff, starting with the Biden crime family. And this is what the letter looks like. Sent February 8th, 2023, from James Comer on the Committee on Oversight and Accountability out of Washington. Now, this was transmitted via email to Mr. Robert Hunter Biden. Letter signed, as you can see, by James Comer, chairman on the Committee on Oversight and Accountability. And here's what he says. All right, Hunty. The Oversight Committee is investigating President Biden's, your daddy's, connection to certain international and domestic business transactions and practices, including you and your family associates who peddled influence to generate millions of dollars for the Biden family, Hunter. Evidence shows that you, Hunter, engaged in foreign business deals with individuals who were connected to the Chinese Communist Party, who's ballooning us now, and received significant amounts of money from foreign companies without providing any known legitimate services. You and your associate, because you don't know how to do anything, Hunter. You don't even do anything other than just launder and peddle influence. You and your associates' financial conduct raises significant ethics and national security concerns. The committee requests documents and communications related to our investigation of President Biden's involvement in your financial conduct. The committee is investigating Biden's knowledge of and role in these foreign business deals to assess whether he has compromised our national security at the expense of the American people. Additionally, Hunter, we will examine drafting legislation to strengthen federal ethics laws regarding public officials and their families. All right, pause on this one for a moment. Now, remember previously that one of our strong criticisms here of the January 6th garbage illegally constituted select committee was that they were operating extra constitutionally, that they were sort of taking the role from the executive branch, which the executive branch is the executive branch. They do executive branch things like investigate and prosecute crimes. And the January 6th Garbage Committee was created as a legislative body that was basically acting as a pseudo-investigatory body. It was almost acting like a grand jury panel, and it was creating these weird, bizarre concoctions of like legislative inquiries, pseudo-grand jury investigations, public show trials. They were, amassing all of this into one giant, disgusting pot. And it was very reprehensible, and we criticized them aggressively for that. And, I think that criticism still remains. I still think it's gross that, Congress might be I think the government laser focusing on anybody in particular is sort of a bad, it's like a bad way to run a government kind of a thing. But unfortunately, as we talked about back then, the Republicans have no choice but to play this game. It's unfortunate that these are the rules of the new arena, but these are the rules. They started it. And so they went after all sorts of innocent people, and they used the strong arm of government to do that. And this is the same thing, right? This is the same lever of power. The Republicans have to do this or else they will no longer exist as an entity. And so they're doing it, right? And the vulgar analogy that we like to use here is if you're in a street fight and somebody kicks you in the nads, it may not be the manly thing to do to kick them in the nads back, but you now know that these are the rules that we're playing by. He's a nads kicker. And so, all right, well, we got to kick him in the nads too. And then the next time he knows not to step up and fight again, maybe the next fight we don't have nads kicking in the rules, right? And we sort of change the rules a bit. But until then, all right, you fight fire with fire. The Biden crime family is the biggest national threat, in many people's opinions, that we have seen due to the proximity of the malfeasance to the highest office in the country. So, all right, it's like, all right, you get a little bit, this is it. This is the new state of affairs. And I'm happy to see some nice, swift kicks coming from Comer. Just swift, wow, right up there in the nads. Let's see how it goes. We will analyze and make recommendations, says Comer, regarding federal laws and regulations to ensure that financial institutions have proper internal controls and compliance programs to alert federal agencies of potential money laundering activity. Okay, this is the fake legislative purpose, right? It's mostly fake, okay, that's fine. I said the same thing amongst when the Democrats were doing it. Yeah, they should have all sorts of compliance controls and money laundering and all of that crap. Can I tell you something? It already exists. Okay, Hunter Biden has already broken all of the laws. He's already broken all of the compliance programs. He's already broken all of the internal controls and all of the financial institutions. Everybody knows it. Nobody's doing anything about it. All right. So Congress can pass all the rules they want in the world. It's already corrupt and problematic as it is. So what they're doing now is they're saying it's a fake because we're going to investigate you because they really want to go after Hunter, and rightfully so, because we know the executive branch isn't going to do it. We know that it's run by Joe Biden. A little bit of a conflict of interest there, don't you think? Investigating your son. So the Oversight Committee has to do this, and they're having to basically put this in there as a pretext in case this gets, challenged in a court of law. Now, again, on this, I know I'm belaboring this, but this is something that the J6 committee did too. They said when they sent these letters out to everybody and everybody was challenging them in court, all of the courts said, well, it's kind of a legislative purpose. I mean, they can do whatever they want, right? And that's why we had the show trials as long as we did. So we'll see if the court grants the Republicans the same deference that they were granting to the Democrats when they were exploiting the J6 committee. So it continues. It says the Oversight Committee is committed to exposing waste, fraud, and abuse. Great. And your documents are critical to our investigation. Please produce these, Hunty Poo, no later than February 2022. Any document or communication designated classified by any government body or any government agency, we want it. Any communication with Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., James Bryan Biden, Sarah Jones Biden between these dates regarding any of these things. So they want Hunter's records, his communication records between daddy, his uncle, Sarah, about these following items. 1, any domestic or international travel with any government agency, including those trips to China with your daddy. And number 2, any financial activity, bills, credit cards, payments, wire transfers, contracts, QuickBooks, financial spreadsheets, anything about the Biden Foundation, the Penn Biden Center, or any other of these institutions. Wow. So it's a full financial kind of enema going on there. We also have any connection. James Comer wants any connection between Joseph Biden, James Biden, Sarah Biden, and any of the following people. Now, so for those of you out there who may be, a little bit on the left and you're saying, no, this is egregious, this is outrageous. Can I just point out, this is 3 pages. That's it. The letters that we got from Phishing Benny Thompson were dozens of pages. And the list of names were insane. This is like very reasonable. This is like, I don't know, 10%, 20% of what they were asking for. So we want to know about Devin Archer, Jai-Kui Bao. We've got, let's see, any other names stand out here? There it is. Eric Scherwin, Annie Rosemont Seneca Company, Hudson West Company, Bohai Harvest Companies. These were all the shell companies that that Hunter was setting up in various different locations. Any CEFC entity, and of course, Burisma. Also, any communications between you and any of the individuals. We also want all of your Outlook or Gmail records, your contact list, your contracts, your wire transfers. We want your rent payments. We want your real estate transactions. We want banking records and so on. Comer says, the committee is providing instructions regarding how these materials should be produced. You can send them over to us. And they say, hey, Hunter, by the way, if you're calling up your shredding company after they got done with the Penn Biden Center in Wilmington, don't think about it. Any endeavor to corruptly withhold or destroy documents is violating U.S. code. And we have broad authority to investigate this matter at any time. If you have any questions, give us a call. Thank you for your prompt attention to this matter. Sincerely, your friend, James Comer. And please RSVP immediately. So that's the letter that goes over to Hunter. Now, there are 2 additional letters that are mostly the same that we will fly through. You see here, we've got one to Eric Scherwin, which is Hunter's business partner. And then we'll also see what the letter looks like to James Biden. Now, they're going to be mostly the same, but let's take a quick glance at them. They say, all right, dear Eric, Mr. Eric Scherwin, Hunter's business partner, who works over at the Institute for Ethical Awareness. They say, all right, Eric, here's what we want from you, buddy. We think that you have connections to international and domestic business transactions, that you are a close personal and a professional associate of Hunter. You were involved in relevant companies and investments, and we're drafting this for the same reasons, and they want the same stuff. And you see much of the same names. Devin Archer, Catherine Dodge, Sarah Biden. They want his records as well. Outlook, Gmail, QuickBooks, financial spreadsheets. Any emails, communications in control. We've got all the right to do this. Sincerely, your friend, James Comer. And the last one, this one goes over to Biden's brother, the whole family. February 8th, drafted to Mr. James Biden, the president's brother. From James Comer, another 3-page letter. Chairman on the Committee on Oversight and Accountability says, all right, bro, we're coming after you. You too now, buddy. Says you peddled millions to generate millions of dollars for the Biden family. The committee is now interested. We are committed to exposing your oversight and fraud. That's why we need all of these records. All domestic travel, all international and domestic financial activity, the same list of names from everybody else, all documents. And by the way, we have the right to investigate. If you destroy anything, Mr. James, you're violating U.S. law. So 3 letters come out from the Oversight Committee. They look good. They feel good. They make you feel good. You know, it's like, oh, all right, finally, we're going after them. We're getting some action here. Good. Well, let's see what Hunter's lawyers said in response, because they're just basically like, well, you're Congress. What are you going to do? My daddy's the president. My daddy runs the FBI. My daddy runs the DOJ. And so your letters don't mean anything to me. And here's what his lawyers said in response. Hunter's lawyers respond February 9th to the Oversight Committee. Letter goes out via email to James Comer on the Oversight Committee. And they say, all right, there, James. You know, they say last night at 8:07 p.m., this is Hunter's lawyer speaking. Hunter's lawyer is named Abe. And so Abe writes a letter back to James. He said, hey, James, I got your letter to Hunter last night at 8:07. And he put in there, just so you know, he's working late. He's like, I'm very irritated. Why are you emailing me so late? He says, well, the letter professes to be a proper exercise of your committee power. Your words actually undercut that propriety. Oh, gosh, this guy. It's going to be a very pompous letter. For example, your letter states that you're investigating President Biden's connections to certain conduct and transactions. Yet in the same letter, listen to this. Yet in the same breath, your letter presupposes near certain conclusions that my client peddle influence to generate millions of dollars for the Biden family. Yikes. All right. So this is pretty rough. This is writing with extra unnecessary rhetorical flourish. Totally pompous. I think not really necessary, in my opinion, with all due respect to these lawyers. He says, peddling your own inaccurate and baseless conclusions under a guise of a real investigation turns the committee into Wonderland and you into the Queen of Hearts shouting, sentence first, verdict afterwards. Oh, gosh. All right, so this guy's writing this for the public kind of a thing, right? So he says, as your letter is a sweeping attempt to collect an expansive array of documents and communications from the president and his family, I write to explain that the Committee on Oversight lacks a legitimate legislative purpose and oversight basis for requesting these records from Mr. Biden, who is a private citizen. Well, that's interesting. Did the J6 committee have the right to investigate and demand records from all of the other private citizens that they did? Well, that's curious. Well, then what basis did they have? Oh, it was to prevent another insurrection. Well, so we don't want any national security threats percolating and bubbling up under this administration. So if you want to prevent an insurrection, it's a national security threat. So is peddling influence and generating revenue, trading American national security classified secrets or whatever is being investigated here. So it seems pretty legitimate to me as far as I can tell. While Congress is afforded broad rights, he says, it's not granted absolute and unconstrained power. Your letter explains the committee is going to examine drafting legislation He says, making the statement when all other aspects of your effort undercut that purpose will not satisfy the required basis to proceed. It is more than ironic, he says, perhaps hypocritical. He's musing around in this letter like it's a live journal for Republican members who now hold the gavel to declare such a legitimate purpose while in the mind. And they're just run-on sentences too. Look at this. It's not even me. And this is one sentence right here. This whole thing is one sentence. One sentence there. Actually, no, there's a period. This is one sentence. Yeah, there's a period right there. So that's a big, long run-on sentence. So that paragraph has 3 sentences. Very big, long run-on sentences. It's very irritating to read. The past sentiments of the current chairperson of the House Judiciary Committee regarding the Mazars accounting firm. Yeah, so he's billing very nicely for this. I don't even want to know what this letter cost. Hunter paid out the wazoo for this document, and it doesn't even say anything. Your request for the documents from Biden seeks information that is precisely what is prohibited by the Supreme Court. He says Biden is a private citizen. Congress faces restrictive investigative power, right? And we saw, look, the J6 committee was sending letters to Sean Hannity and Sebastian Gorka for just being on the air, right? It was nonsense. So if the J6 committee can do it, well, there must be some precedent for this. And Hunter Biden is in pretty close proximity to a lot of other criminal elements. In fact, he's under actual criminal investigation. So why would this not be the subject, especially if he's exploiting power and all? So, right. So it's a very big, long letter. It's not actually even that good. And it says, rather than engage in a back and forth letter writing, I would offer to sit with you and your staff, including the ranking members, to see whether Biden has information that may inform some. Oh, so he's willing to meet with them. I hope that you will engage in this effort. So he actually is willing to meet with them. That's interesting. But he says it's not actually anything that you're going to get from us. We'll have to wait and see. So that is what the lawyers responded, saying that you're full of nonsense. And we have James Comer, who responds to this over when he's on Fox News. And so Laura Ingraham asks him a question. Hey, they're kind of snubbing you. They're not going to be too cooperative. What are you going to do about that, old James?
Chair of the House, legitimate oversight.
Well, there is a legislative purpose and there's a national security concern. First of all, with the national security concern, we saw yesterday in our hearing with Twitter executives, the laptop is real. And that's a problem for Joe Biden because on that laptop contain, many emails, text messages, pictures showing him right in the middle of all these adversaries in China, Ukraine, and Russia that were paying his family millions and millions of dollars for services that we don't know what they were. We don't know what exactly the Bidens did to earn millions and millions of dollars from our adversaries. And the fact that Joe Biden during the presidential campaign lied about it, then that's a problem. And legislatively, we've got to fix this influence peddling. If we don't fix this, this is only going to get worse. The Democrats complained about it under Trump, and I can tell you, it's a serious problem with the Biden family. So there's a legislative purpose and a national security purpose, and that's why we've requested that information.
Great. And I think that they should get that because the same thing came out from many of the Democrats on the J6 committee as well.
Well, they never showed that the Trump kids were selling access to Donald Trump. That's exactly what the Biden family did. That was the Biden family business model. And it wasn't just with Hunter. It was also with both the president's brothers, but we're just zeroed in on one specifically because we're very concerned about the significant sums of money that came from companies directly affiliated with communist China. So we have specific requests. We have ample evidence, not just on the laptop, but also from people who have come in who were involved in some of those business schemes with the Bidens. So we have people that have told us specific things. There's specific things on the laptop that are very concerning to every American. Every American should be concerned as to whether or not this White House and this administration is compromised because of the millions and millions of dollars that the Biden family's taken in from communist China. The Bidens should want to set the record straight. They should want to work with this committee to clear their name, but they continue to obstruct and they continue to do everything in their ability to act like nothing's wrong when we all know that it's very fishy that this family's taken in millions and millions of dollars.
And Hunter is now on the offensive. They have confirmed that the laptop is his. His attorneys sent a bunch of letters and recommendations to different government agents and said, we're very hurt that the laptop leaked. Can you please go investigate people like Marco Polo and Garrett Ziegler and all of the amazing people who do good work actually doing journalism and investigating these things? Hunter and his defense team, they know that they've got daddy just a phone call away. They can just basically snap their fingers, and Joe Biden doesn't know anything. So he just the prosecution that should be happening is not happening. And so Comer is investigating. We'll see what the Republicans can dig up. We'll see if they'll sit down with him or if they will send a subpoena or what the next stage holds. But of course, we will continue to cover it. I hope you join us as we do. Thank you for liking this video wherever it is you are watching it, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next one. All right, my friends. Well, that is it for us on the show on the day. We covered some good ground. We had some Hunter activity. 3 letters went out, and we'll see if James's attorney responds or if Eric Scherwin responds or if the Oversight Committee goes out and sends some additional subpoenas or what the next step looks like. We also talked about the object that got shut down today over Alaska. Nicely done. Biden administration should have done it on the first one, but hey, you're learning, which is good. We heard from Patrick Ryder. We also heard from John Kirby. So we've got all of those clips. If you missed those, you can go back and see all the fun stuff, the latest on this new object they're not telling us anything about. So that was it for the show, my friends. But let's hear from you to see what you have to say about this over from our friends on YouTube. I see some very generous super chats, and thank you everybody for sending those in. We also have our friends on Twitter and our friends on Rumble that we'll say hello to and support our free speech platforms. We had a couple come in today. Our first one is from Dennis. Dennis Petit is here. Good to see you, Dennis. Says, I can confirm Santa is safe. Whew. Good. Whew. I was nervous out there. Yeah, because they didn't know what they shot down, right? It's up near the North Pole in the Arctic, man. Although his spring training flights for reindeer recruits has been put on hold until further notice from Dennis. That's a good one, Dennis. That's a good one, Dennis. I like that one. Yeah, he better just hang tight for a little bit. He can postpone it a week or two until this whole Chinese thing blows over. We've got reports that say a teenage amateur photographer is missing his drone from Frou Frou Featherstone. Yeah, that's what it was. It was a little science experiment. Poor Timmy, man. Timmy was up there and wow. Look at all these cumulonimbus clouds. Gone. Fred Petamonte says, Rob, Fred Petamonte and his rascally dog, man, his dog Johnny. He says, Rob, Johnny told me it was his balloon. Said he wanted to see what the U.S. would do. Oh, is his balloon up there? By the way, he has a 1-pound sphere of uranium-235. Not sure what he's up to. Oh, that's interesting. So poor Johnny. It was Johnny's balloon. It wasn't Timmy's balloon. Johnny, this dog, has like an IQ of like 180, hanging out with Epstein and other people weird. And it was his balloon. So poor Johnny. He's smart. I mean, obviously he'll figure something else out. It sounds like he's got another science project working. Uranium-235. I'm not sure about that one. I think 235's the okay one. Is that right? 238's the bad one. So if he gets 238, or maybe it's vice versa, I don't know. One of them's, worse than the other one, but good luck over there. If you're going over to Fred's house, you might leave with a little afterglow. All right, 2 dogs is in the house. Mike D says, the USG sends up another object to shoot down so they can say, hey guys, we did it. This is what happens when we can't trust a damn thing they tell us. Yeah, that's another good take on it, right? Who knows? They just launched a big piñata up there. Just go take it out. Hey, we did it. Yay. Great job, America. I don't know, 2 dogs, but I think it's always right to be skeptical. Okay, so 235 is the bad uranium. So good luck over there to Johnny. It's going to be a big problem over there. Hopefully things don't go too badly over there. All right, and so let's see what's going on to our friends over on Rumble. Shout out to our Rumble friends. I see Blue Bunny's in the house. Army Brat's over there. 1R5 is there along with Cars 10W. We got R. Lackland is there. Nick Danger, the third, is in the house. Says, great show. Thank you, Army Brad. I appreciate that. Can't wait to hear more about Carrie Lake's cases. Yeah, going to have some more time to investigate some of those stories. Certainly now. My birthday balloons got loose today and the Air Force drones strike my house, says CV Media. Yeah, definitely. Like if you're planning on having like a bouncy house or something out there in your house, everybody's on a little high alert with this whole balloon floating things. Any inflatables, I would be extra careful about inflatables because you never know what could possibly happen there. All right, and so we're going to jump over. Those are our friends from Rumble. Let's go say hello on Twitter. Is Twitter working today? Hopefully it is. Had a little bit of a snafu yesterday. It is working. And oh my gosh, we have 3 viewers. So shout out to myself, shout out to Paul, and that one other guy over there who's on Twitter. All 3 of us are hanging out. Let's see who is in the house. Paul said, this is my feeling when you were transitioning, when you said you were transitioning. What? That's a tra la 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 la. Is that guy? La 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 la. Is that guy? I think it is. Yeah. This is another one. Oh gosh, that's just too much from Joe. Oh gosh, too much. Sorry about that, America. Rudolph survived. Oh no. Oh, here's we have a photograph of the takedown on the balloon. Here's what it looks like. This one came in from James Pepper. Terrible. Rudolph survived, but the other reindeer, not so much. Doesn't look so good out there. Oh, not good. All right, James Pepper's here. Vientikis says we had 17 viewers up at one point over on Twitter. 17 viewers, out of control. Out of control. So shout out to our other 17 friends. Probably a bunch of Russian bots or something, right? Because that's the only thing that Elon has on Twitter now these days. Shout out to all my Russian bot friends out there. James Pepper says, so now Biden will defend the border. Mariana Romana is here. Says that the great thing on Hunter thing is because we recently set the precedent that people who ignore congressional subpoenas go to jail. You nailed it, Maria. Exactly right, right? I mean, that's what they did with Bannon. So this wasn't a subpoena yet. This was a letter, but they should form their own stupid, illegally constituted committee, and they should subpoena everybody. We have SMS. Hey, SMS is here. Says, hey, Rob, congratulations on your new endeavors. You have my 100% support. Thank you for saying that, SMS. Wilhelm says, my money's on the aliens, perhaps the ones posing as gods from ancient civilizations. A flying car? Oh, great. They shot down a courageous mouse and a minute mouse. Yeah. And hey, Adam's in the house as well. Says we got up to 26 viewers even at one point from our friend Adam in the house. And we had some other comments from TJ and others. All right. So those are our friends on Twitter. And of course, if you'd like to follow us on Twitter, it's a great place to follow other watchers of the program and follow along, like their comments, and keep connecting wherever it is you are out there. But that, my friends, is it for us on the day. And shout out to my friend Catman on YouTube who says, Kirov reporting. That was a very dangerous thing. If you were playing Command & Conquer and the Kirovs were reporting, you better build some SAM sites, like rapidly. Like right now. Whatever you're doing, stop whatever you're doing. Start building the SAM sites. All right. And what happened here? Oh, wait. Are we still good over here on Rumble? Okay. Yeah, we're good. All right. So that, my friends, is it for us on the day. And so we are going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. If you'd like to join us, I'd really appreciate seeing you over there at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We're going to be doing I'm going to be sharing. So we have a new website that we're going to be unveiling on Monday, and we're going to do some beta testing on the new website over the weekend. And so if you're at watchingthewatchers.locals.com and you care to partake in some of that testing, we'll be doing that. Should be fun. Also, our friends over at Brickhouse Nutrition, it's the place to go to get your field of greens, where you can save 15% off using code Robert, to get your real organic superfood and be ultra healthy. Get your daily servings of fruits and vegetables and feel like this. You don't actually look like this. Just to be clear, this doesn't actually happen if you're freaked out about that, all right? But you do feel that way. You feel very vibrant and energetic. And of course, our friends over at the R&R Law Group, they are going to be very busy this weekend because the Super Bowl is in town and there's going to be a lot of people who get swept up in saturation patrols and so on. And so, although I'm no longer with the firm, they are still the best in Arizona at helping good people charged with crimes find safety, clarity, and hope. I'd encourage you to give them a call if you need them. 480-787-0394, online at rrlaw.com. az.com. All right, my friends. And also want to thank the mods on the program who mod down the in the house. I see Playing Hooky over there as well. We've got Ronnie Cole chiming in, our friend Lean, Zulu. Did the audio go out again? Hello. Test. Did the audio go out again? Audio's fine. All right. Our friend Zulu, and of course, Geomancy Games, who's on YouTube at Geomancy Games. I'm getting weird error messages on my restream, but it seems like it's working. Yeah, so I don't know what it's telling me that it's kind of, sputtering out. Anyways, it's working. So our meme smiths, thank you to our meme smiths who meme up the place for us, which we really appreciate. Our friend Sleepy Dog Lee, who's on Twitter, give him a follow. And Geegum Geegum over on Locals. We're always appreciative for all of their efforts to building our community. But that, my friends, is it for us on the day. We are going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We'll be back here on Monday if we don't see you over there. And if we don't, have yourselves an amazing weekend. Have a very safe Super Bowl, whatever it is you're doing. The po-po are out in full force, and I mean that seriously. Doesn't matter where you are, but be extra careful, be extra safe, have a lot of fun, be very well, and I'll look forward to seeing you right back here on Monday so that together with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Hypercube literally just sent in a super chat in the nick of time. Got it. Hypercube says, Rob, 1, thank you. Your knowledge and perspective and detailed coverage of these topics is helpful. And number 2, are you able to share what mind map software you use? And yes, I absolutely am. It's called MindMeister. It is a very, very useful piece of software. And it's called MindMeister. And there is an affiliate link I think in my link tree in the description below. If you're into that, I don't know what it does. I don't know if it gets you anything or not, but it is down there if you'd like to use it. Otherwise, it is a great software. I use it for a lot of stuff. I use it for all sorts of mind mapping, really. So check it out. Very, very useful. All right, my friends, that is it for us on the day. And so I'll look forward to seeing you right back here on Monday. Make it a great weekend, my friends. Bye-bye, everybody.